Minnesota Vikings beat the LA Chargers in their home stadium in SoFi Stadium. Beautiful stadium. 27-20. Minnesota Vikings come up as underdogs with a 7-point win, going to 4-5 on the season, staying at second in the division after the Packers just absolutely destroyed the Seattle Seahawks, blew them out. Packers are 8-2 now, so they're really untouchable in the NFC North, but we're looking for a playoff berth is what we're looking for here, and that's what we're going to be talking about on today's episode of Morning Kickoff. So, taking a look at this game. Minnesota Vikings, yes, this is another game that they only won by 7 points, or the game was within 7 points. It didn't feel close. I mean, it was back and forth the first 3 quarters of the game, but Vikings had the game in the fourth quarter. When the Chargers were out of timeouts, Vikings had the game, and it's just good to have a comfortable win. And the Vikings going on an away game, yes, it was an away game. Thank you, fans. Okay, I talked about in my preview, I said Minnesota Vikings fans are going to come up. Like, there's going to be a lot of Vikings fans there because anytime we travel to California, to Arizona, anytime we travel to these states, our Vikings fans really show out. Wow, did they show out? I might be wrong, but from what I saw, over half the fans there were Vikings fans. And even after the game, when all the Chargers fans left, the stands still looked full. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings, I might be wrong. I might have to check my stats on that, but it felt like over half the fans there were Vikings fans. So thank you, Vikings fans, for showing up in this game because the defense needed you. I mean, Vikings fans were loud. It looked like a home game. And I'm honest, I don't think the Vikings defense would have looked this good if it wasn't for our fans showing up at SoFi Bank Stadium. Beautiful stadium. Thank you, Vikings fans, for showing up here. So, how did the Vikings win, though? It wasn't the fans. I mean, yeah, Vikings fans might have helped out this defense. This offense finally came together. You might notice I'm on a little bit of a Vikings win high right now because this is what I've been saying all season long. All season long, I've been saying Vikings are a top 5 offense. We haven't seen it yet. The reason why we haven't seen it yet is because the play calling has been god-awful. And that's why the Vikings haven't seen what their offense is capable of yet this season. It's this simple. All we needed for Clint Kubiak to wake up was just to have Justin Jefferson complain. Justin Jefferson complains, Clint Kubiak wakes up, boom, we have an offense. And we don't just have an offense. We have a top 5 offense in the NFL. With one of the best wide receiver tandems. A running back who's top 3 still in the NFL. Kirk Cousins, who does his job. I mean, I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan, and I'm not a Kirk Cousins hater. I say he does his job and respectably does his job for what he's getting paid. He does the job. Minnesota Vikings. Not only did the offense show up in this game, we had more passing yards than the Chargers offense. We had more rushing yards than the Chargers offense. More points than the Chargers offense, and more first downs than the Chargers offense. What has the Chargers been able to do all season? Win through their offense alone. Because the Chargers defense hasn't been all that great this season, yet their offense has been amazing. With Justin Herbert throwing to one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL, we shut them down. Okay? For this Vikings defense to come up this big as well, not only did the Vikings offense really just win us this game. I mean, the Vikings offense respectably won us this game. The Vikings defense was able to make plays against a great offense without. Let me go over the list of players that we're without on defense, how low I set my expectations. We're without Patrick Peterson. We're without Harrison Smith. We're without Anthony Barr. We're without Michael Pierce, Danielle Hunter. Okay, I just named the 5 core players on our Vikings defense. We're without all of those guys, yet the Vikings defense comes up huge. If I asked you, before the game happened, if I asked you, Vikings are going to get 2 sacks in this game, who do you think are going to get the 2 sacks? You might say, Everson Griffin. I feel like he might come up with both of those sacks, considering how he's played as great as he played this season. Maybe, Sheldon Richardson might come up with a sack. DJ Wanham might come up with a sack. No. The 2 guys that got sacks, Eric Kendricks and Cam Bynum. One thing those 2 players have in common, they're not defensive linemen. Another thing those 2 players have in common, and this is a little fun fact, they're both from California. So maybe going to California to play fed into their ego a little bit there. But still, blitzing Eric Kendricks on second down, setting up 3rd and long for the LA Chargers offense who are not able to convert was a big play. Yes, it was on the first drive of the game, but that was a big play that Mike Zimmer, Andre Patterson, our defensive coaching staff was able to design plays to be able to stop the Chargers offense. Blitzing Cam Bynum. Okay, Cam Bynum. What a draft pick. He's the defensive rookie of the year for the Minnesota Vikings so far because he's having a great season. Cam Bynum, two weeks in a row started over Harrison Smith because Harrison Smith has COVID. So Cam Bynum was able to step into that role and has done an excellent job. He doesn't look like a rookie out there. He looks like a longtime veteran out there. Cam Bynum comes up with an interception and a sack in his first 2 starts in the NFL. Hats off to him because Cam Bynum is elite, and I would like to consider maybe he's our starting safety next year. If the Vikings don't give Xavier Woods another contract, we might see Cam Bynum being our starting safety. So you'll love to see it. He's even been playing better as Harrison Smith can when you look at the games played. But again, I'm not saying start him over, obviously. But still, you take a look at that. Vikings defense, coaching staff did a great job stepping up. The Vikings special teams had a great game. Greg Joseph didn't miss a kick. D.D. Westbrook had a 41-yard punt return on the first punt that the Chargers had of the game. Even Kane Nwano had a 24-yard punt return. He also would have been able to convert a fake punt. I mean, Vikings special teams, great job. Vikings defense, great job. Vikings offense, amazing job. And this is the Vikings team we should have seen all season long. A team that knows how to pass, okay? Because not only do we have Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL, you were reminded that we have Tyler Conklin as well. You were reminded, well, maybe not in this game, but this season, you were also reminded how great KJ Osborne was. Or I guess you weren't reminded. You were shown how great KJ Osborne really is. You take a look at the 3 receivers for this Vikings team on this game. Justin Jefferson, have a day, okay? Jefferson, 11 targets. Clint, Mike Zimmer, this is what happens. See what happens when you target Justin Jefferson? See what happens? Not only is this is not rocket science. This is what I've been saying the Vikings should do all season. This is what I've been saying the Vikings should have done so far up to this point. Just target Jefferson because he eats up the field. He might not be the red zone threat. I mean, we have Adam Thielen, we have Tyler Conklin, we have these other players who are red zone threats, but he eats up the field, setting up every touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 143 receiving yards. Now, I put that right on the table right there. He had a great game. That's not even going to be close to one of his best games of his career. That's not even going to be top 10. That's how elite this guy is. You have to target him more because he's going to have 20 games better than this. Justin Jefferson, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 143 yards. He did have a drop in the first drive of the game, but was able to make up for it with all of his big-time plays he made with the Vikings offense. Now, not to say Adam Thielen didn't have a great day. Adam Thielen might not have had statistically an amazing day, but he still had 7 targets, 5 receptions for 65 yards, able to come up on third down, convert, and being able to still make plays in this Vikings offense. Also, they did run a screen pass, and he was able to turn that into 12 yards. Finally, that worked with the Vikings offense. Tyler Conklin also came up 5 targets for 3 receptions, 11 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Tyler Conklin, thank you for getting us those touchdowns because we needed that. We need that from Conklin. I mean, I'm a big Conklin fan. I love the guy. I think he's a great tight end. I am so excited for when Irv Smith Jr. comes back and is alongside Tyler Conklin. Thing about Conklin is they have been targeting him too much this season. Instead of they've been checking it down to Conklin on a 6-yard pass or 2-yard pass on a 3rd and long. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Tyler Conklin, this is where his role is, on those short time touchdowns where he's able to come up with those big contested catches and make plays. Tyler Conklin is an elite tight end, and I'm so excited when Irv Smith Jr. comes back to see these 2 players as our tight end duo because we saw a little bit of it in the 2020 season in the later half of the season when Kyle Rudolph was injured. We did get to see the duo between Irv Smith Jr. and Tyler Conklin, which looked amazing, and I'm excited to see that in the 2022 season. So Vikings offense as a whole had a great day. You know who didn't, though? Dalvin Cook. Now, Dalvin Cook had an okay day. I mean, we set our expectations very high for Dalvin Cook. He's going up against the worst run-stopping defense in football. He should be able to average over 5 yards per carry because of how great of a running back he is and how great and how versatile of a running back that he is. He had an okay day. Now, he didn't get even to 4 yards per carry. Vikings were able to set up some screens for Dalvin Cook as well. Kind of surprised, though, that he didn't have as great of a day that he did. But the Vikings offense as a whole did. Vikings offense had 380 some yards of offense. Now, in my preview, I predicted that the Vikings would get over 400 yards of offense in this game. While they didn't get 400 yards, still had a great game. Everybody had a great game. Dalvin Cook and Kirk Cousins did their job, but it's this Vikings passing offense that you love to see. And it really just starts with the play calling because we were too predictable of an offense going into this game. Now, we're not. Now, on first down, defenses don't know what we're running. Before it was first down, you know it's going to Dalvin Cook. Second and short, you know it's going to Dalvin Cook. 3rd and long, you know the Vikings are going to try to just pass for 11 yards. I mean, just too predictable of an offense. Now it's completely different, and this Vikings offense, this game showed it might be the turning point. Now, I'm not saying the Vikings are going to finish 12-5 here. I'm saying the Vikings can really find their place as an offense. I still don't think the defense had a great game. Now, I might say I might have just been high on the Vikings defense. Eric Kendricks, Cam Bynum, like these players had a great game. Really, it just came down, like they held the Chargers offense to 20 points and under 300 yards of offense. So they really did hold the Chargers offense. But when it comes down to it, it really was Justin Herbert missing his targets. He missed his targets. I counted 5 missed targets in this game from Justin Herbert, which is unheard of. I mean, he's coming off of AFC Offensive Player of the Week and is missing his targets 5 times. When you have big body receivers like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, which are huge guys, they were still open just about all game. And then you also have Jared Cook on top of that. They were open just about all game, but we knew this going into the game. I mean, no one had high expectations for Mackenzie Alexander. Once again, had another pass interference called on him. No one had high expectations for Bashaud Breeland. Cam Dantzler did come through a couple plays in here, but it's good to know Patrick Peterson is going to come back next week and go against Davante Adams, assuming that he comes back, because I don't want to see anybody else against but Davante Adams other than Patrick Peterson and Harrison Smith, who should return back next week with the team. So on top of that, it's good to know that this Vikings defense was able to make plays without 5 of your core starters on defense. It really comes down. Eric Kendricks is the best middle linebacker in football. What is his stats in this game? What is his stats? He had 8 tackles, a sack, and an interception in this game. Not only did he have 8 total tackles, a sack, and an interception, Vikings were able to get that interception in the red zone and able to convert it into a touchdown. A sack forcing a punt on the Chargers defense. Or Chargers offense. And then that punt was returned by Dede Westbrook for 41 yards. So really big plays by Eric Kendricks. Both of his plays resulted in scoring drives for the team. Cam Bynum also had another great game. I mean, Vikings special teams had a great game as well. So we just covered all the good. I just covered the Vikings offense, how they improved, how they are looking how we expected them to look all season. They're finally hitting stride. Defense was able to make plays. I mean, defensive coaching staff really build this Vikings defense out, and the special teams just surprises us 2 weeks in a row. I mean, I had low expectations for this Vikings special team after the first 6 games of the week. Now, the bad. The penalties. It feels like every week we're talking about this. Penalties, penalties, penalties. Vikings had 10 penalties in this game for 118 yards. 10 penalties. It's week 10. Okay? You're supposed to fix this by now. If you had 10 penalties in the first week, which the Vikings did, if you had 10 penalties in the first week, it's understandable. I mean, you're coming off of an offseason, your team's going to look a little sloppy. Okay? It just happens every year. It's week 10. And we still haven't fixed the penalties. Oli Udoh is a penalty machine. He is the most overrated player on this Vikings team right now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Vikings fans. Oli Udoh is trash. He's not good. Okay? The only reason why he hasn't allowed a sack so far this season is because he holds on to his guy every time. Oli Udoh, you got to try to transition Wyatt Davis into the role now. Wyatt Davis, 3rd-round draft pick out of the Ohio State, drafted after the Vikings traded down in the 1st round, were able to pick up that draft pick and draft Wyatt Davis, the best right guard coming out of college. I'll repeat that. The best right guard coming out of college in the 2020 draft or 2021 draft is sitting on our bench right now. When we have Oli Udoh out there who has 11 penalties in 10 games. 11 in 10 games. Okay, I'm not saying bench Oli Udoh here. I'm saying trying to transition into Wyatt Davis. See what Wyatt Davis is able to do. I'm sorry. Oli Udoh's just not doing a good job. He's just not. And the only reason why he hasn't allowed a sack yet this season is because he holds on to his player every time. Now, yes, the refs were penalizing us a lot more than usual. I mean, these refs were throwing a lot of penalties. Chargers also had 7 penalties. So it really does come down to the refs and how many plays they actually call. But again, 10 penalties for 118 yards. It comes down to those offensive line penalties. I believe Brian O'Neill. Where was Brian O'Neill in this game? I mean, he forced a fumble on Kirk Cousins in this game. He had a couple penalties in this game. I don't know where the Brian O'Neill we used to see was. I'm expecting that he'll be back next week, but just a bad game from Brian O'Neill. And the Vikings offensive line as a whole did not have a great game. You know who did? Christian Darrisaw. Christian Darrisaw is elite. That man he's the future at left tackle, and I'm loving what he's doing at left tackle right now. He was going against Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa didn't allow a single sack on Joey Bosa in this game. Yes, that's Joey Bosa. One of the most, is he the top paid defensive end right now? Joey Bosa might be the top paid defensive end right now. I know, I think he is. Joey Bosa's the top. No, it's TJ Watt. Well, actually, he's an outside linebacker. Anyways, Joey Bosa, one of the top paid defensive ends in the NFL right now, didn't even get a sack on Christian Darrisaw, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, having himself a great year. And I love to see this rookie come out and make an immediate impact on this Vikings offense. As a whole, though, penalties, like I said, it's something you can fix. I don't know how the Vikings haven't fixed it yet this season. I'm not saying Oli Udoh is going to continue to be a penalty machine. I'm saying you just got to fix it. Just don't hold on to your guy. This is something that is very easily fixed. Oli Udoh, I want to see what he can do when he doesn't hold. That's all I want to see, how Oli Udoh looks at the right guard position when he doesn't hold. But as a whole, Vikings team looked great in this game, and the Vikings player of the game, you know it's going to come. Vikings player of the game is Justin Jefferson, 11 targets, 9 receptions, 143 yards, averaging to 15.9 yards per completion, or I guess it would be yard per catch. Justin Jefferson, great day from Justin Jefferson. And like I said, it was a great day from Justin Jefferson, and he gets a majority of why the Vikings won this game was through Justin Jefferson. He did have a drop pass, but as a whole, he's the reason why the Vikings won the game. This is not even going to be one of his best games of his career. It's not even going to be top 10. That's how good of a player Justin Jefferson is. That's how much you have to feed Jefferson. This is not even going to be top 10 games. It just won't. I mean, he didn't even get a touchdown in this game. I mean, he was able to eat up field yardage, like I said, for this Vikings offense, setting up all 3 touchdowns the Vikings had were set up through Justin Jefferson and the pass game, being able to be an explosive offense, taking shots down the field. You love to see it. Vikings team came up huge with a win against the LA Chargers. LA Chargers also played bad, but as a whole, Vikings team, offense, defense, special teams, all looks great. You just have to fix the penalties, and we should be good. We should be good. We should be competing for a playoff berth. And this is what we're going to talk about on the rest of this episode. Vikings should be competing for a playoff berth. I'm not talking about division. Vikings can't compete for the division right now. I'm talking about that 6th or 7th seed in the playoffs. Vikings should be competing for. But talking about the division, next week we do host the Green Bay Packers. So don't sell your tickets to that game. If you're any Vikings fans are listening here and you are season ticket holders, please don't sell your tickets to Packers fans. You're just going to help out the opposing team. So we will host the Packers next week. This will be a 12 o'clock Sunday game, and we'll be previewing this matchup on Thursday. I hope you all do tune into that. Thank you.